Monday night games from the UFL. Hope everybody got the outcome that they wanted from their game. I know not everybody could. About half the people could, half couldn't. But hopefully you were on that side that did. And we're going to get right into the rankings. Ryan, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Second week, like I said, putting out my disclaimer there. I believe power rankings before week four are kind of hit and miss. So I'm just going off of what I see. But good weekend this weekend. We've got good matchups coming in week three. If you'll take a look,
Yeah,
week three
it's
is going to tell a lot.
it should. I know I'm looking forward to them. So it's I hate it. I'm going to miss the Saturday games. I'm going to be out of town going to watch the Alabama Tennessee game. But yeah, it looks like a good schedule all around. So
Rocky Top, you'll always
dead last in the SEC. Hey, no,
yeah.
I've never
There we go.
practiced that one before. So yeah, there we go. All right, well we're gonna get right down to it, and I'm gonna go ahead right over here and cam to the board. Hint: if you want a free sneak preview, you can always come live to the show, and then you can tell all your friends what we're going to announce a few seconds before we announce it. All right, so I've got our board with our three rankings front and center for you on the screen now. If you're watching on Hitbox, and you will see no ties this week. Coming in number 12 after 0-2 get go are the Huskies. Number 11 would be the King Cobras. Number 10 is coming up with the Broncos. Number 9, we have got the Cowboys. Number 8, we have the Pats. And let's see. Number 7, we've got the Bulldogs. And number 6 is my squad, the Raiders. Or I should have stopped at number 7. I'm sorry, Rayon. I'm dancing all over your territory.
No, we're good. Number 5. Got the Warriors. Number 4, one of the biggest jumps this week, the Mustangs. Number 3, holding steady are the Bucks. Number 2, the Titans, and still your number 1 team, your Mystic Seahawks.
Yep, there you go. And you can see if you want, if you're here, you can keep staring at the chart. I'm going to leave it up for a little bit more on the stream also. I've got also the categories for the previous. That's where they were ranked last week. And then in the movement column, since this is the first week we've debuted it, a green number indicates that they moved up that far, that many spots. A red number would indicate that they dropped or fell that many spots. For the mathematicians out there, I know this drove me crazy because we had 5 movements up and 7 movements down. And mathematically, that shouldn't happen. The only reason it did is because there was a tie last week, and it took me a little bit before I remembered that. But I was the statistician in me was going crazy looking at that for a few minutes. So, yeah, there you go. Ram, what did you see? What jumped out at you? I think the most over the weekend, as far as surprises, as far as teams and their performances.
I'm going right for the throat here. The Mustangs. The Mustangs come out and just put a whooping on the Raiders I did not expect. Last week, everybody knows where I had the Mustangs. And I start watching the stream last night. I see a 7-0. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? I didn't even finish my practice last night. I got so into that game. And that's the one that jumps out the biggest to me is Mustangs over the Raiders. Well earned win.
Yeah, well, I'm glad our performance got a stop with y'all because I don't think that we got a stop on the Mustangs all night. Yeah, that was a tough one. I'd love to sit around and make excuses, but that wouldn't do justice to the job that they did out there on the field. Blaze was reading his blocks as well as I've ever seen him do. He was hitting that corner well. We couldn't seem to get a contain on. Even when we did, our secondary didn't do a whole lot, myself included, to bail them, to reinforce them when they did manage to stop. So very well earned. I would also throw in to that mix the Bulldogs with their bounce back win pretty lopsidedly over the King Cobras. That was kind of one of those measure and stick games that, I think we had that group. I'm not sure if they were the tie last week, but we had them right around each other. And for them to make the statement that they made with their victory, for me, was right up there with them. with as far as the Mustangs. Maybe it doesn't propel them to the top four the way the Mustangs did, but I mean for a team coming from the season they had last year to make that statement to bounce back after a pretty hard hitting week one loss, I think says a lot about them and what they can accomplish this season. So for me, that was the biggest pleasant surprise. I would put ours as the biggest unpleasant.
And if you'll notice, those two that we just called out are the two biggest jumps this week.
They are.
The Mustangs jumped two, the Bulldogs jumped two. Both well-earned wins. They're working through things, and it said it before, it's a 16-game season, so take your time, work on what you got to work on. I tell these teams, beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, and don't worry about the blowouts. Just beat the teams that you have to beat to get to your playoffs. And that's what the Bulldogs did. They went in there and they beat the Cobras. The Cobras are the team they have to beat out to make a playoff. So, don't worry about the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Raiders, the Titans, the Mustangs. Beat the teams you have to beat. And that's what they did. The Bulldogs went in there and they beat the Cobras in conference win.
Yeah, and like I said, that's big for them. That puts them, on par with, a majority of the league right now, sitting at 1-1. So it's the second best record that you can have after 2 weeks. So, for them, for the Bulldogs at least, that's a nice resurgence, and really for the Mustangs, it's more of a statement of exactly how serious everybody's going to have to take them going forward. Um, so yeah, they've evolved. I think at one point, I can't remember if it was on this show or the Pulse on Thursday nights. I said, they were last year's feel good season, story, but that only lasts for one season. For it to sustain, you've got to prove yourself in year two, and I can't really think of very many more ways than they could have done that than just really taking us out of the game from about the kickoff. So.
Yeah, season two, it's time to, okay, like I said, it was still good last year. This year, it's either we're going to go in there and win, or we're going to stay middle of the road. And I think they're making that jump. You see, I moved them up, and in my power rankings, pretty good.
Oh yeah. If I threw objectivity out of it, I would have had us at 12. I was so disgusted with the way that we got beat. I was mad as I think I even told y'all that when y'all passed them in. I said I hope you put us
Yeah.
at 12, and I'd have went
Yeah.
I'd have went lower if there were more teams. Uh, but yeah, it was one of those. It was tough, and so it was.
And I want to remind everybody, these rankings are weekly. They change weekly. People are messaging me, how can you have the Mustangs over the Bucks? Yeah, the Bucks are a very talented team, but based on this weekend's wins, the most impressive win this weekend to me was the Mustangs over the Raiders, so that propelled them up.
See,
As we start moving into the meat of our season, these rankings will change and start to average out a little more. Right now, I'm going by what we're seeing on the field.
right, and you're getting a good taste. One thing that people don't appreciate about this particular job, I have to almost be a second person, like a second character when I'm doing a show like this, because if not, man, I'd still be pouting. Like I'd still be upset and mad.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to talk about, yourself and other teams as objectively as possible. And the point I was getting to is, you'll have, I can't really because I'm streaming it. But you'll get people messaging you all the time. Why? Yeah, what's up with that? Really? You got us at number 6, and after this, and this, and so it does highlight the interesting nature of this. And we're going to get around here in a few weeks. Probably like you said, after week 4, when things have kind of normalized a little bit, we'll start having some guests on because it is so fun to mix it up and start hashing out, all the different occurrences and what ifs and matching it up. But I do like this season in that everybody's going to play everybody at least once, and then if you're on the same side as somebody, twice. So that's going to be a whole lot of compelling matchups and interesting things to look out for. Let's see. Well, we can't really pick on Rhino very much for anything. What jumped out about you or about anything that I had or whatever, and then I'll pick yours apart here.
I see you still got the Broncos a little bit higher than I do. You got the Broncos at 9. I've still got them at 11. I think they're building a decent team, but I think they need more time to mesh, more time to get together. Um, Really, like I say, it's week 2. It's really hard. Me and you are within a number on everybody. 8, 7, 7, 6.
Right.
We're within a number on almost everybody except for that one. What are you seeing in the Broncos? It's got them up at 9 right now.
I think kind of like what you saw. I saw, they've got another hot shot rookie. I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just talking about they got another kid that can go up and I think, log a catch regularly on anybody in the league, and this M.W. Johnson. Then they've got so many other experienced guys coming back in that secondary. If they can get any kind of regularity out of Zev, and then you match him up with guys like Yoshi over there. Um, they just signed Eric Slayton, or not Slayton. Or is it Eric? Eric from the Eagles last year. I can't remember. Maybe
Yeah, I don't.
it's Eric Slayton, but anyway, he's a solid guy. He was probably one of the Eagles' top receivers. He couldn't even receive the whole year. They had to move him to line though because he was so that team was so hurting for good blocking up front, and he in my opinion became one of their better offensive linemen. In a matter of a week or two. So I really like what I think he's going to bring to that team as far as just one more piece to get them some moves up front. I get a feel for this team that they're not going to hang around in that bottom group this year. That they're going to shock some folks. I would probably hurt some feelings if I went straight down the board and gave you. I think that the Broncos will end up beating this team or that team or whatever. Like, because there's a couple ranked higher than them right now, at least, that I would say probably are going to win if they went heads up. So that
Well,
was
we've got that matchup coming this weekend, Broncos Cowboys. That's going to tell me a little more. Um, you know that that's going to be a measuring stick. How do they
right.
handle the Cowboys?
And see,
Um,
and
Cowboys are adding a little talent, so they may come up and shock some people.
they are, and that's one of those things that you kind of compare. That, like, to me, that was the difference in the Broncos and the Cowboys specifically. The Broncos, when they played the Seahawks for quite a few times, had some pretty decent offensive drives going. They even scored, on the Seahawks, which they don't give away. And then you had the game this past one with the Cowboys and the Bucks, where the Cowboys just didn't ever really even look like they were going to pretend like they were in the game. And so that was just, to me, it was like, I'm seeing signs of life over here against the number one team. I'm seeing, these guys just kind of wilt a little bit in the face of the number 2 or 3. To me, I was just like, let me push them up a little bit. Um, let's see. Who was I going to? You touched on it a little bit. So you, like, if they lined up right now, you think the Mustangs would take the Bucks?
I don't think it would be a blowout. I'd set the spread. Most people don't know I'm a big time. I like the spread. Right now, if the Mustangs played the Bucks, I'd set the spread at about 7. I'd put the Bucks laying 7, so it's going to be close to people think. I was just basing it on what I saw this week.
Right.
This week, the Mustangs had an impressive win. Do I think they're going to go out there and beat the Bucks? I can't say decisively, but I don't think the Bucks are going to hang 70 on them.
Right.
I think it's going to be, within a 10-point game. And for those who haven't seen the playoffs, the way the playoffs are done this year, points against matter a lot more than points for. So, when you start putting those points on the Bucks, you could really hurt them come playoff time if they're 15-1 and the Seahawks are 15-1. I'm not going to say I would pick the Mustangs to beat the Bucks right now, but I think it would be a closer game than people think.
I gotcha. And while we've got plenty of time, if you are here live and would like to ask a question, I will ask that you send that IM to Rayon because I can't pull up an IM without everybody seeing the entirety of everything we've ever talked about. If you have a question for me and you don't mind it being posted, if you want to go to the URL for Hitbox, you can post it in that chat group. I can monitor that one and respond to it. So if you have questions for either of, for anybody, you can post them in those 2 places. Or if you have one that you'd rather not post in local, you can send it to Rayon, and then he can give to me whatever. So we'll figure that out either way. Um, let's pick on Rhino for a minute while they're getting questions in. What let's see, what has he got here that you're wondering what he's thinking? I'll tell you the first thing that jumps out at me while you're scanning. I was proud to see him move his team up a little bit. You know, he had his guys low last week, and
Yeah, yeah,
he's got them sandwiched right in the middle of us. So that's kind of neat the way that worked. Um, other than that, let's see. See, King Cobras. That's a group right now. I think the Broncos would hang a win on. I would
yeah,
mess with him about that.
yeah.
Let's see.
But he does have the Broncos ranked 10 and the King Cobras 11, so he probably
Right.
is thinking the same thing.
Yeah, right there at each other.
I'm gonna tell you one thing we hadn't touched on yet is the Warriors. Excuse me, the Warriors looked real good this week,
They did.
and we haven't touched on that. And I guess it was just overshadowed by me with what the Mustangs did. But the Warriors done a pretty good job with the Cowboys. Right at the end, the Cowboys came on and put up a quick, I think, 21, and I'm like, where was this in the first quarter?
Right.
You know, but the Warriors with Gucci, Darian, um, they done pretty good. I think your top five, you know, they're, with the exception of the Seahawks, they're number one right now. The top five, I think, are pretty much interchangeable. Warriors, Mustangs, Bucks. You could have any one of those at 2, 3, 4, and see a good game out of any one of those when they play.
Oh
You
yeah.
wouldn't see a blowout amongst any of them.
Yeah, I think that those would be some real competitive matchups. I even think that there would be some real close ones on the lower end of the group of 12 also. Um, have you gotten any questions yet?
No,
Our,
I'm not seeing anything just yet.
our Twitch is silent tonight. Normally, and this will happen soon. Well, like I said, we just officially brought on Blueberry as a sponsor for the show. Really towards the end of the week. So I know that she'll be getting with us soon about some giveaways and things like that. So that usually will get people a little bit more fired up. Here this whole time last year, I thought people were coming to hear me and see me, and then all of a sudden we have 2 weeks of no freebies from Blueberry, and our crowd goes from 50 out here to like 12. 12's probably even being generous. I love y'all that are here. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's like I said, it's early in the season. You know, we don't have a whole lot to go on. We're working on just what we're seeing. I try not to base any of my power rankings on scrims because I know everybody's scrims different. Some people are scrimming for the win. Some people are scrimming to practice. Some people are scrimming to get their backups reps. So I don't base any of my power rankings on scrimmages. It's just on what we've seen. And so far, we've got a pretty small selection to go from. But as the season moves on, I think we'll have a little more to go with here. This week, our only one we all agreed on was the Huskies at number 12. What do you think the Huskies need to do?
Um, they need to compete. I mean, I say that as respectfully as possible. They've just got to show up and show some forms of competing with somebody. I don't remember who'd they play week one. Do you remember right off? I just remember it was an out of hand game before it was over.
Mustangs.
Okay.
Mustangs.
All right. Well, that makes a little bit more sense too after seeing the Mustangs in action last week. But I mean, they've had two teams in the top four, you know, in their first two outings. So probably not the fairest of critiques from me. If you agree that they're even, you know, in the 9, 10, 11, and 12 range, and then they draw teams ranked 2 and 4, you know, collectively, if you just base it on our opinions of what's being played on the field, it's probably not fair to say compete a little bit. But like I said, like in the other ones, I keep going back to it. But like with the Broncos, you know, you've seen them score some. Even the Cowboys, you know, in a flourish the other night. You know, even though the game was pretty much decided, but put some points on the board. The Cobras, you know, they got beat by the Bulldogs, but I mean they did put two or three scores on the board, and it just like I said, even though it just feels like to me right now at this point in the season, there's a wider gulf between that 11 and 12 spot, and I mean they're going to have to work pretty hard to get me to come off of that for a little bit. Um, and I hope they do. I mean, like I said, the league is better for it. The league is more interesting the more teams that we have that could jump up and just bite somebody on the rear end, kind of like you were saying with the game last night with us and the Mustangs. We need results that just stop people in their tracks and get you to look like, whoa, I did not see that coming. Because that
Yeah.
will, like right now where there wasn't maybe as much buzz before, but I mean, you start talking about a rematch now between the Raiders and the Mustangs, and it'd probably be a little bit more paid attention to, that kind of thing. Now the Mustangs and Titans game looks a lot bigger, than maybe it did, a little bit earlier. Even when you get into the cross rivalry things, now, how exciting is the Mustangs and Bucks game or the Mustangs Seahawks going to be? Even Mustangs Warriors to me, being fourth and fifth, just so many more matchups at any time a team like that jumps up and puts themselves in the elite group, then you could just count 5 and 6 more games that are suddenly the league's going to have. That's just going to be, whoa, we got to watch this, we got to see this now. So I mean, I'm happy for the Mustangs in that breath, and at the same time, I wish that for the Huskies. I want to see them step up and do that. But to me, that's the thing that they're lacking is it's not just the losses. It's the lack of anything compelling that you see from them in the loss.
Yeah, and like I say, the Broncos they put 7 points up against the Seahawks. The Patriots they put 7 points up against the Seahawks. Teams that are getting blown out, they're at least putting something up. Cobra, like I said, they did put 21 on the Bulldogs, even though it was out of hand. The Cowboys, they didn't give up. They put 21 on the Warriors, even though it was in a loss. Um, but show some signs of life. Um, just compete, like I said. But they did get a tough draw. Their first 2 games were tough. Maybe come week 4, we see a couple more games and see how things go, and then we can gauge a little better.
I was going to say, I probably should have tempered my response a little bit considering we've got them this week. I hope that we're not the week that they decide to shock the world, but
Yeah.
but yeah,
Uh,
it could happen. So
and one thing I'll touch on a little bit, and try not to step on the toes of the falls here, but with the talent so spread out now, you don't know who's going to step up any any given Sunday, as it's always said. And you talked about rivalries between Titans and Mustangs and things like that. A lot of people who are new to SL football, and I say new, they're for the last couple of years, they don't realize certain rivalries that are built in, such as Al Panuca being a Titan, Blaze Vela and Veronica Vela being Mustangs. Those three were teammates for years and are still very good friends. So you've got that added to like a Titan Mustang thing. You've got Darian, who is now a Warrior, who played with y'all last year. The talent spread out like it has just really added to the rivalry, to the hey, I want to beat this person because they played with me, they're my friend. The 12 teams to me, I think was giant as far as spreading out talent.
yeah, absolutely. Because it's tough to think what some teams would look like if we spread it back to 14. Exactly how many of the teams that are up there now would just fall apart completely if they lost a couple of other players. Um, so yeah, it's just one of those things. As the season goes along, I think that as we start getting more and more really good matchups every weekend, I think people are going to kind of be happy that this is the way that it ended up going, and we'll see. But yeah, all around pretty good stuff for me. And I posted in the Hitbox group. I'm not sure. Yeah, we haven't gotten any questions there yet. Anything your way?
Nah, I think it's everybody's feeling the same as me and you right now. It's early in the season. We've only got 2 weeks to look at. Later on, I'm sure as things start going, they'll be, why are they ranked ahead of me? I beat them, and we'll get that. But right now, it's still early, 2 weeks in. Um, look forward to some more good games this weekend. I think we're starting it off with a pretty good one Friday night.
Yeah, I haven't even had a chance to look at the schedule. I know that we're the Sunday early game. Who's kicking off Friday night?
The Broncos and the Cowboys.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
going to be
See,
a
I'm
measuring stick game right there. That's going to be, um, like you see, I've got the Broncos at 11. I got the Cowboys at 9.
Yep.
So that that number is going to change to the good or to the bad. That number is going to change because those two are going to go head to head at it, and should be for a real good game.
I think so, and it is one that I was looking forward to the matchup. I wasn't sure about the time slot, so I've got a real life commitment that will probably get me there at about halftime, but I am looking forward to it for sure. So I will probably be checking in on my phone during.
Warriors Seahawks. I mean, Saturday game. We've got some matchups that are going to change things a lot next week.
Yeah, that
As I said before, come about week 4, week 5, right after Halloween, we'll have a real grasp of things.
yeah, I think so too. I definitely think so too. And that's another
But
one.
then you'll still get that surprise in there when you think, oh, well, look, this team we've got the Warriors at number 3, and then all of a sudden the Bulldogs will come in there and just put a spanking on them unexpected. So that'll happen all throughout the season. But I think overall, about week 5, we'll have
Yeah, I gotcha. All right. Well, we may. I think we're going to wrap up a little bit early tonight. That third host, we don't have quite as many things to pick on about. So,
But before we wrap it up, one thing I wanted to comment on: me and Syke have a bet on the LSU Alabama game. The loser has to wear the winning team's hat. I'm proposing that after that game, we wear that hat on the Power Ranking show.
I'll do that. Sure. Absolutely. I've got another bet with a rather spirited cheerleader on our team that I think pulls for just about every team that Alabama plays against, and I think she's decided that LSU is the best shot at actually winning a bet against us this year.
Oh yeah.
So I've got a T-shirt bet with her. So if by any chance that works, then I'll wear the T-shirt too. So I'll just be full out
Yeah.
blue and gold. Yeah, I'll just got.
Lot of lot of lot of things are going to come out of that game as far as college football playoffs.
Oh man, dude, I think the college playoffs right now are going to go through that game. I mean, I know somebody
Yeah.
else has got to jump up and beat Ole Miss, but I think y'all will. I think A&M's going to beat them this weekend. Um,
Ole
I,
Miss is down 2 games. Memphis beat them.
well, but it don't matter with the SEC standings
Yeah.
because they still. I mean, right now, if Ole Miss wins out, even if y'all beat everybody except for them, they go. So
Yep.
it's one of
It's
those.
gonna be it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be something interesting. But
Yep.
other than that, that's all I got. Let's look forward to a good weekend of games, and just please, players, coaches, respect your referees on the field. That's all I got.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Piaggio in your dreams. That's all I'll say. He's talking about Auburn will beat Auburn right now. Whatever. I got to keep it PG. All right. Well, this will wrap us up for week 2. We'll be back here, same time, same channel next week, and we will get it going then. So you guys have fun this weekend. Don't forget, tune in Thursday night for the Pulse, and then Friday night we'll begin round 3 of our weekends of games. It's been a lot of fun. On behalf of Rayon and an absent Rhino, wish you guys the best.
Good luck.